So today we just received bad news regarding one of the cabinet ministers in South Africa. Mr. Jackson Tambu has passed on. May his soul rest in peace, sending all the condolences to the family and the movement. Sup everyone, SK here. So LG is considering an exit in the smartphone business. So more like Biden in and Trump out. However, you're probably asking yourself, why is LG considering an exit instead of just improving their smartphones? Well, they tried, but it's just didn't work out. So what actually went wrong? Let's catch up. Back in 2007, LG launched the first capacitive touchscreen phone. And yes, it didn't have a headphone jack. This was the LG Prada. The phone was launched just a month before the first iPhone, and that's why most people probably never heard of the phone. While the iPhone felt like a phone from the future, the LG was running an old system called the Flash UI, and it really felt old. In 2008, LG released a budget-friendly phone with a 2.4 inches of screen and a sliding QWERTY keyboard. This phone came at an era when smartphones were transitioning from key-operated phones to touchscreens. This phone was such a success in South Africa after the LG chocolate. Not only was it affordable, but you could definitely tap your presidential speech on it. By 2009, LG launched its first Android phone. HTC probably said, "Hey, welcome to the party." And this was the LG Eve. It packed both a touchscreen and a QWERTY keyboard again. LG worked on the skin called Touch UI for its Android phones and added features such as the multitasking capability, which the iPhone didn't have at the time, and a Microsoft package. Well, this phone pretty felt futuristic. LG was so ahead of its time in the smartphone innovation space. This was the first phone that could record videos at 1080p and was powered by the NVIDIA Tegra chipset. This was the true gamer's vision for the phone. The successor of the Eve was the LG Optimus G and would go on to redefine the smartphone game when Google and LG used the same phone to build the Nexus 4, which was launched at a whopping $300 with flagship specs, and this was a true fan edition phone. LG moved to the G series, dropping the Optimus lineup, and hell, it went crazy with the button placements. On the G2, the button were placed at the back of the phone, and if you had tiny hands, that 5.2-inch screen would give you a workout. Remember when people thought the 5-inch screens were so oh my god big? This was the phone that made small bezels fashionable. See, LG would develop a phone after a market and leave them hanging. And this was the G Flex, which was pretty much a curved phone like a banana. And they dropped the project after the G Flex 2. It's worth noting also that LG is a supplier of display panels used in the iPhone, iPad, and other Apple products alongside Samsung. By 2013, LG released the first 1440p display phone. The phone had some heating up issues, but it was a remarkable moment in the display tech, and it actually didn't stop there. The camera lens had a laser focus system, meaning the phone would use the light from the laser to check how close or far the objects were from the camera, and it was so impressive. LG sold around 10 million units in less than a year when this phone was released. This is the same technology that was adopted by the Samsung Note 20. Following this, LG released the G4. The G4 featured a screen print scanner and improved on the screen issues from the G3, but instead LG went for a processor that the market wasn't leaning towards, which was the Snapdragon 808 instead of the Snapdragon 810, and LG made up for this when they launched the LG V10. This phone came with a dual camera system, which was first of its own at the time. Furthermore, LG added a second screen on the V10, for those WhatsApp notifications, and this is exactly where LG problems started. There was something that was called the LG boot loop issue, where the phone would get stuck on the boot up screen. And because of this, LG faced a class action lawsuit, which in turn they had to pay owners of the affected phones around $425 in cash or $700 cash rebate towards the future LG phone. The industry was also changing and the prices of phones and components were going up. Well, you could blame Qualcomm for this, but everyone was increasing the prices and it didn't help LG at all. LG had an affair with Google and wanted to build their Nexus 5. As much as the fans were happy about the devices, which were the Nexus 5 and 5X, the 5X was pretty much expensive for a budget-friendly device, retailing around $360. Remember the Google Project era, a phone with parts you could easily swap out? LG saw this and decided to make the project their own baby and went on to release the G5 based on this form factor. When a lot of smartphone manufacturers were offering phones with closed back covers, LG gave you the freedom to remove the battery, swap out parts, and this felt like the Toyota Supra of smartphones. But instead, the phone was just a total flop, so LG dropped the project, and the following year, they would go back to their G4 styling with the G6. However, the G6 lacked a lot of things that people were hoping for. It had a smaller battery than the competitor, Wi-Fi issues, small screen, and the camera was good but not worth the competition, or rather make up for the phone's poor specs. Though the phone was cheaper, consumers were drawn towards the elegant Samsung S8. The LG V30 was getting all the attention from the R&D team at LG, but just didn't get enough attention from the market. Following this was the LG G7, a phone with a lot of AI features. However, it was just a small upgrade over the G6, kept a small battery and an LCD screen when the competition was moving to OLED screens. I'm one person who still prefers the LCD screens over the OLED because of the brightness and colors, but that's just me. But for LG, it didn't seem to attract a lot of people with the strategy. Followed by this was the LG G8, which also was not impressive at all. It had that ugly iPhone notch and felt like LG was just wanted to pull out of the smartphone business at all. So what really went wrong? So LG moved from having boot loop problems, which were followed by overheating issues, but these were just technical issues that were updated with newer models. Well, it didn't actually end there. LG's software wasn't good either. They delayed software updates on the phones, and when the camera was good technically, it lacked a lot of software features. A big problem with LG was their innovation trend. LG could give you an amazing phone that came with a lot of gimmicky features, or sometimes most of the time they really came out with the best features, but the trend was not followed. Basically, they would produce a phone this year, and if it flopped, instead of improving the phone, they would basically drop the project and come up with a totally different concept the following year. The G series lineup felt like an experimental project from LG, where they'd take out a project and drop it if it just didn't work. LG also has the V series lineup, which attracts a very small amount in the market. LG keeps all the features that people sort of want, such as the headphone jack, but that's not reason enough for people to buy the phone, or that additional screen that acts as a cover for the phone. As of right now, their latest release was well received. The LG Wing is such a great phone and a great concept, though without a flagship processor and $1,000 price tag. I don't see how the LG will be able to sell this phone in huge numbers. The business model also ventured out into the Indian market with the W series, which is targeting the budget-friendly segment. As much as this looks like a great move, the Indian market is very diverse, with Xiaomi leading the market alongside other Chinese brands. Hopefully LG will be able to turn things around with their rollable phone that is set to be released this year. So yeah, that's been it from me. So I'd also like to know from you, what do you think can actually take LG to the top again? Please leave a comment on the comment section below, and hopefully we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.